All right, we've got a bottom end together, cams in. So Bo just finished off putting the rods and pistons in for me. I just had to duck to the doctor with the young fella. Now the cam that's actually gone in this is the Crow 1260. So the 1260 is meant to be like a boost orientated cam from Crow, and we sort of found that it would be a pretty good middle ground, something a little bit more aggressive than a 1287, but not super aggressive. So it will be a pretty angry setup, but hopefully not outrageous, being that it is going to be boosted too. So the 1260 is a 233 245 on a 116 lobe separation. So pretty big lobe, fair bit of duration. She's a pretty serious cam, pretty serious get up. And now that we've got a crank in there, Bo's just about to dial it in and make sure it's all good to go. But yeah, bottom end's coming together. Heads are already together. Bo got the heads together ages ago. So yeah, ready to pretty much just keep going and get this motor together. Green in the cam. All right, guys. So we found all of the missing plugs that need to go in the engine, so they're going to go in, as well as a billet barbell in the rear oil place where the barbells go in these things. So we'll get that sorted, and then we can start looking at getting some covers and stuff. Oil pump, we've got to get our improved racing girdle on this thing, windage tray. So as well as that, we are also installing a improved racing sump baffle. So this is a trapdoor sump baffle that goes into the VF sump. They also make these for the Gen 3 sumps. Even more important for Gen 3 sumps, I would argue, than Gen 4 VF. But regardless, still very important nonetheless. This thing being manual, you know, chances are, being the sort of power in manual, there's going to be some spirited driving. And these trapdoor sump baffles bolt straight into the standard sumps, and obviously just help mitigate any sort of oil surging and sloshing, which can, cause obviously a lot of damage really fast if you get that wrong. So these just keep oil up to the pickup at all times, so you can go do some spirited driving and know you're not going to starve the engine of oil, and it's all happy days. So a couple of little upgrades there that are just good little insurance policies for doing something like this. So as well as that, we are going new GM high pressure oil pump kit. You guys know here at Onsong Performance, we pretty much strictly use GM OEM oil pumps. We've never had an issue with one. Again, it's very important that you install them the correct way. We have seen more issues with aftermarket brands than we ever have with OEM pumps. So that is what we use. And for this sort of build, we don't opt for a high volume pump for that reason of it being a manual. If you're doing spirited driving, you are at a pretty constant high RPM, particularly if you're on track or something. All you're going to achieve by having a high volume pump is you're going to drain the sump faster than you would with a high pressure. Whereas the high pressure is still going to move plenty enough oil for what we want to do. With the bearing clearances we've got, high pressure is going to be fine, and it doesn't. Well, it's higher pressure, keeps higher oil pressure up to everything. It doesn't flow as much oil, and it's not going to simply drain the sump as fast as a high volume pump. For this sort of application, don't get me wrong, high volume pumps definitely have their place, but for this application where it's a manual car, we're going to be looking at some spirited driving, potentially some oil surge with what's going to be happening. The high volume pump is going to cause more issues than it's going to help mitigate, where the high pressure pump is going to be perfect for what we want to do. So high pressure oil pump, a few things here. We'll CC one of these chambers on these heads. They are now beautiful CNC ported rectangle port heads, and then 2000 series ARP head studs. Get some heads on there, obviously after we install some new LS7 lifters and buckets. And then we obviously have our Magnuson belly cover, which is to suit the Supercharger kit so that we can still have our Supercharger on there, all happy days. Righto, so next problem we are facing is that we do have to modify this girdle / crank scraper. So just for this rod combination, which is not an uncommon thing to need to do, but yeah, we just need to clearance these cutouts for the rods, because as you can see from that one there, they just touch. There's not enough clearance. It does rotate, it doesn't stop it from rotating the way it is, but that is too close. We want at least sort of 80 thou clearance minimum to all these rotating parts under here. So we'll take that off and just clearance all of these, get it back on. Alright, so it's all clearance, I got it all clearanced up and it's all installed, so you can just see it just adds that little bit of structural integrity and just ties the bottom of the block all together nicely, all the mains. So Bo's just about to chuck the pickup on. He's got the trapdoor baffle in the sump. Look how good that looks. Again, guys, just a really good idea if you do plan on doing some spirited driving. So this should really help along. So like I said, this kit is not at all sold as a girdle per se. They don't claim that it's a girdle. They just claim it as a upgraded crank scraper. But again, you got like good 4mm thick alloy. Plus this tying it all together, it you know, it is just going to be helping a lot. So anyway, we'll get pickup on there with a girdle. Get our pickup girdle as well. Both starting to get everything sorted to get the front cover and everything on. Got our crank angle sensor in, and I did measure the air gap to the reluctor before the crank scraper went on. So yeah, it's all coming along. Be ready to throw some heads on tomorrow by the looks. Yeah, one balancer installed. Looking good. So just to point out before we start buttoning things up, the improved racing sumps, or crank scraper and girdle is purchased through VCM, as well as the sump baffle is also all through VCM. VCM stock and sell improved racing products, which is awesome. Now the balancer, this Durabond balancer, and this is our Supercharger drive. So that all comes with the Supercharger kit, the Magnuson PI2650 kit, as well as obviously the Valley plate, which I showed you just before. That comes with the Supercharger kit as well. I'll tell you that now, just as this stuff's going together, but I will probably the next episode after this engine is together, I will likely try and do a whole episode going through the entire blower kit that came from VCM, because it is quite extensive, and for anyone who's potentially looking at buying it, want to see what they're actually getting for their money, yeah, I'll take you through like an entire kit. But just in case I forget when I do that, because it's already on the engine, balancer and the blower drive obviously come with the Supercharger kit, but the improved racing sump stuff, scraper and girdle, and that is also purchased through VCM, but is purchased separately. But you can purchase all of it through VCM Performance. All right, so we're pretty much bang on 69 cc's. The old 6 or 9, 69er. Not bad. What do you reckon, bud?
Pretty good.
All right, time to start smacking heads on. Righto, Bo's got our new LS7 lifters and buckets in. Heads are CC'd, so we're ready to whack some heads on. Got some 2000 series head studs. So yeah, even though we're sort of hoping to get pretty close to 1000, we're just opting 2000 series head studs and just your multi-layer steel head gaskets for this thing. Basically, anywhere between 800 and 1000 we'll be happy with, and we're pretty confident that for what we want to do, that is going to be enough clamping force and head gasket. The other option was pretty much to start going to the Athena crush rings, which is what I've done for like the last 2 or 3 iron blocks we've built and the dart block we built, but I just felt that it was probably a bit of overkill with this block, not to mention being alloy block. With the crush rings, you sort of run the, not even risk, I don't even know how to really properly convey it, but you're likely going to put damage divots into the block with the crush rings, which obviously then later on down the track, if you ever wanted to do anything, if you had to pull the heads off, all of a sudden you've got a block deck and a head deck to deal with after the crush ring, which I just wasn't too keen on for what we're planning on doing. The other option was like CA625 studs, but once again, working with an aluminium block, at the end of the day, you're limited by your 4 head studs per pot anyway. And I figured going to CA625 and going that extra clamping force, all we were really going to achieve was more deformation in the bores, which again would likely lead to further issues down the track, more so than what we need at the moment. So pretty happy just to run the 2000 series studs and multi-layer steel head gaskets and just let that be where we get to. And that way, you know, we're pretty confident that it's not going to be problematic later on down the track. Yeah, should be happy days. So that's what we're doing. so both smacked out, getting our heads on. Yeah, you are. Just doing some pushrod testing now. So obviously, this thing being boosted, for one, we wanted to keep as much comp out of it as we could. We had an idea of compression ratio, which we have achieved. But for that reason, we didn't want to take hardly anything off the heads. But also, because it is boosted, we do plan on pushing it pretty hard, and it is only 4-bolt heads. We wanted to keep as much structural integrity in the deck of the head as possible, which is another reason why we just get them not to take anything off the head when we're doing something like this. So a lot of people don't actually realize, but supposedly the standard deck surface of the LS heads are actually not that thick, which is one of the advantages of going to aftermarket heads in this sort of situation, is you do get a bit more structural integrity in the deck head. But that is one of the things that really draws them back with being the 4-bolt heads, is the fact that, you know, if you take too much off the deck surface, you do start to affect the structural integrity of the head quite a bit, which then obviously doesn't help trying to keep everything down, keep that compression in the cylinder. But yeah, we did end up at 10.27 or 2.9 to 1 compression, 10.27 to 1 comp, which is good. So given that hardly anything's been taken off the deck surface, we're just doing some testing with some push rods at the moment. We're trying some stock 7.4s just to see how they go for our preload and lash, and if they're pretty good, we've got a set of aftermarket thick boy 7.4s out there. But if not,
too long.
All right, so it'll be a 7375, which we've got a set of 7375s here ready to go in. So and then, as you can see, CHE trunnion upgrade in the rockers, all happy days. The rockers going on now with our push rods. So with the CNC ported heads, what you actually get is in the intake port, the CNC program runs up into the bolt hole, or the boss for the bolt hole for the intake rocker bolt. So when you do have CNC ported heads, it's important to put some thread sealant on the intake rocker bolts for that reason. Otherwise, what you will have is between vacuum and boost in the intake port, with that thread not being blind anymore, is you will get it starting to draw oil from the head area, from the crankcase into the port, and burning oil. And then obviously under boost, you're gonna get a little bit of boost leakage up there. So always make sure you put a little bit of thread sealant on them ones when you're doing these CNC ported heads. But that's going to be that. For now, we'll just chuck the factory rocker covers back on. But we are intending on purchasing some nice billet, pretty rocker covers from Tremaniac Racing. So we've used them before quite a few times. Really big fan of them covers, and they're the best value for money billet rocker covers on the market. But before we order them, we're just waiting to start getting our blower dummied up on the engine. Once we get it dummied up, we should have checked it when we dummied it up before. In fact, we may have, but I just forgot. So once we have it dummied up, we'll check where we want to put our breathers. Once we know where we want our breathers on our rocker covers, we'll get them ordered and get them on it. But for now, to button it up, we'll just put the stock ones on. All right, looking good. Just dummied up. I didn't put all the bolts in because this has got to come back off to put our lifting plate on to actually get it back in the car. But I'll want to dummy up everything so that we can start looking at making sense of all the pulleys and everything else. So obviously this comes with the kit, like I just said. This steam vent is different. It comes with the kit as well. Obviously our supercharger, which we'll unbox and get on this thing. Get some photos. Look at that. Nice. Righto, boys and girls, that is looking awesome. Big fan of this setup. Bo's just started cleaning up the rock covers because we haven't cleaned them yet, but we'll clean them up and get them on it just for now, like I said, and then we'll keep dummying stuff up so that we know exactly what we need to order and make sure we order all the right stuff, have everything dummied up, and know exactly what we need. So awesome stuff. This has been a great heap of progress this week for this car, this engine. This is looking awesome. This is where I'm going to sign this video off. Hope you enjoyed, guys. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more, any further episodes. We're going to be steamrolling ahead with this thing. It's going to be freaking wicked. Big fan. So that's going to be this episode. Next episode, we'll go through sort of the rest of the blower kit, what's involved, what it comes with. We'll keep dummying everything together and get the car inside and start putting it all back together. I've got our diff is on the way back out from Hart Transmissions. It's all been built and ratio's been changed and it's ready to go back in the car. So got our twin plate clutch on the way from MPC, so it's all happening. Got our new exhaust on the way from Harrop, so everything's happening, guys, and it is looking freaking wicked. I'm excited about this thing. So we opted not to bother with the interchiller for this at this stage. Wasn't really in the budget, and we just wanted to see how the kit performed as it comes. But obviously that is going to be an option for future upgrades, is to actually put an interchiller kit on this thing, which may happen in future, but that'll be up to the owner, obviously. So thanks for watching as always. We'll see you on the next episode. Tune in for that. Smash like, smash subscribe. Peace out. See you. Bye.